Okay, so I finally decided to turn on my camera and really begin the documentation process. I gotta get used to this whole camera thing because right now the camera's in my face and I want to look at it, but then I get distracted when I look at myself and my words don't come out the way I want them to. So I might look away a little bit just as I get used to being on camera. Um, I'm coming at y'all really like right now, physically in the raw. I don't have no pants on. I just woke up. I need to wax. My braids is like way too old. They should have been. These were long braids with loose ends, and as you see, they're cut. Probably like a month and a half ago, I cut my hair thinking I'm about to take my hair down, but life been lifing, and I have not been able to take my hair down. So I'm just coming at y'all in the real raw right now. The purpose for this video before I even get into it is life is hard and it's been really hard for me. It's been some good stuff, some bad stuff, some crazy stuff, but not the traditional. I'm a 37-year-old female. And that's gonna be probably the only time I say my age. No children, never been in love, never been in a relationship, never had sex before, and been living in my car for the last 2 years. And right now, as I sit in this room, this is not my room. I am house sitting for a friend. She was nice enough to open up her home to me and allow me to stay here while she's out of town. So I love her for that. It's been a blessing being able to have a spot to stay and not just bouncing all over the place. Um, so yeah, the reason I'm sharing all this with you guys is because I really want to document my journey. I do have a hope and a vision for my life that things are going to get better and that I'm going to accomplish all of my goals. However, it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard. And every day it feels different. You know, some days I feel on top of the world, like I'm making great strides. And then some days I start to like really be, I start to really scrutinize myself, which could be a good thing, but sometimes not so good. Like I said, I've been wanting to do videos for a while. Another purpose for this video is because I want to encourage others. I mean, there's other people out there like me that are not going to come on camera and share their story, that are going through crazy shit and they're not where they want to be in life and they're not going to share their story and they don't have anybody to talk to, anybody to depend on, anybody to fellowship with, anybody to confide in, anybody to get direction from, anybody to get support from. Literally, the person's house who I'm staying at is my only friend. And I haven't been even knowing her for that long, you know? So it's safe to say our friendship is still evolving, you know? But I'm just saying that to say that I don't have a big support system. Um yeah, I do have some family and my relationship with them is just, you know, not saying that they wouldn't be there for me if I really need them. It's just complicated. And yeah. But I do have some family. But for the most part, this is my life. And I am trying to navigate it the best I can. And it is hard. And I was like this years old when I finally admitted that to myself. Like life is fucking hard. Like it's not easy, especially if you are like me and think outside the box, or are like me and don't go to the same tempo as everyone else, or is not satisfied by the things that the majority is satisfied by, or have found challenges with things that maybe the average person does not find challenges with. Like maintaining consistent employment. Like, I cannot stay at a job longer than a couple years, if that. Um, Getting through school was a challenge for me. I did attempt college. It was a big challenge. I liked school. I like learning. I like school. I like the topics, the teachers, all that, the professors. It was just very challenging. So I've pivoted and switched careers recently. Um, but yeah, that's the whole purpose. I'm kind of like all over the place because I didn't write notes. But today, the reason, okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about why, even though I've been wanting to do videos forever because my life is filled with like so much freaking content. Like I said, I've been living in my car for 2 years. So the whole time I wanted to turn on the camera and share, but like I just never put myself to do it. And when I was younger, like in my early 20s, I used to want to be on YouTube, and I had did a couple videos, but I really didn't have nothing to talk about. Like the way my brain was working back then, it was just like gaga goo goo. But now I'm like, your girl got like content for real. Like shit is going down on a regular basis. I have things to talk about, things to share. I have a whole vision. So the thing is, you guys already know, whenever you want to change your life and turn things around, it is extremely hard to get out of the cycle of BS, the rat race, the path you're on, whatever. It is so hard to break the habits that you're already accustomed to. So for me, just doing something as simple as turning on the camera has been so like hard. It's so hard. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I need to get on YouTube. I need to get on YouTube. I need to get on YouTube. Like forever, I've been saying that. It's just been so hard, and I've truly, I can say, I could write a book about it. I've been the one standing in my own way when it comes to YouTube, or when it comes to anything. Like, I'm the one, I can truly say, standing in my own way. And I don't say that lightly. Like, when you have mental health issues, I mean, I still consider that to be me, but you know, there are reasons why sometimes you can lag really bad. But anyway, so what really pushed me today, particularly to turn on the camera, I for the past few days, I've just been, oh my god, I don't want to say like in a negative place, but not as optimistic as I usually am. And then this morning, I worked really late. I drive for Lyft, and I worked really late. I didn't get into the house until like 7 in the morning. And while I was out, I took a break, and I was watching this video, this new guy that I just discovered on YouTube, who talks about like psychological stuff or psychology stuff, like, you know, life stuff, life hacks. And he was saying, like, women think they have so much time and they don't. Let me tell you why. And I'm thinking to myself, I never thought I had so much time, but okay, tell me why. I wanted to hear his perspective because I like how he breaks things down. And when I say he broke this down and headed where I could not even finish the video and started feeling very depressed, I was like, oh my God. So, as you guys already know, women, we have a biological clock where we cannot have kids forever. And if you want to get married and things like that, people all the time tell you, like, you know, men don't marry women after a certain age, or like it's harder for a woman to get married after a certain age. And you have that group that is very kind of like matter of fact, like at this age, you know, the marriage for women starts to decline. You know, also scientifically at this age, it becomes harder and harder to have children. But then you do have a group that's kind of like, my Mr. Right will come at any age type of thing. I don't follow those rules. It'll happen for me when it happens. And I've never really had a dog in that fight. Because growing up as a kid, my mom was always like, Joy, don't worry about boys, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, it'll happen when it happens, like, you just, you know, focus on you, blah blah blah. And so as a young adult, like in my early 20s, my mom was always praising me for not having children. And I guess because so many people in my community and in my family was having kids out of wedlock, and it was like having kids was honestly from my upbringing and my perspective, it was like a bad thing, to be honest. And it wasn't that the kids were bad, but it was like everybody was bringing kids into a bad circumstance, to be honest with you. Nobody around me was bringing kids in like in a positive, non-stressful way. So my mom, the way she thinks, and we'll talk about her in future videos, she was just like, oh, it's so good you don't have any. And I had a pretty traumatic childhood, so I actually had told myself I didn't want kids. So I didn't really too much care. But recently I've been like over these last 2 years, and we'll talk about that more in other videos too. But over these last 2 years, I've been on a healing journey where I've just been unpacking, and taking a lot of inventory over my life, my thoughts, my behavior, my decisions, my mental health, diagnosis, and things of that nature. And I realized that, and I knew some of this before, but I realize now, like, I didn't want kids because I came from a traumatic childhood, and I did not want to pass off any of that to my child or traumatize them. I also didn't have a mate. I didn't know how to date or attract a mate. And so I just wasn't in that group. But now as I heal more and more, I'm just like, it's kind of sad that I don't want kids. I kind of maybe do. But then I find myself at this age, 37 years old, where I'm like, oh, I spent all this time saying that I didn't want kids. I spent all this time unhealed. And now when my thoughts are slowly starting to evolve and I'm healing and I'm in a different headspace, I'm like, maybe I do. But the thing is, my life is so non-traditional. Even if I had a mate today, I'm really just not in the position to bring a child into the world, like financially and things like that. I mean, I've been living in my car. This isn't even my place. Okay. So I'm just like, man, it's like, it's so crazy because like for so long it was like, good, Joy, you don't have kids, that was the messages that I was getting. Great, you have time, don't have any right now. Again, I didn't have the traditional mom that was encouraging me to get married and have kids. She was just like, good, you don't have them, I'm so happy for you. And all of a sudden one day I woke up and I'm like, fuck, I think I missed the mark. Like, there was an age when I was like too young and I was living in that mindset for a long time, and now I'm too old. And I'm like, where was I supposed to have them? Like, I mean, if I did want them, when was I supposed to have them? So now I'm just like, I was telling my therapist the other day, I feel kind of robbed, just by, mostly it's all related to the childhood trauma. It's all related to that because it all stems from that, having an unhealthy view of marriage, relationships, family, and not wanting to partake in that, and then putting that into the atmosphere and setting those intentions for my life. So now it brings me here, where it's like, now that I'm starting to heal and work on things, I'm starting to see through the fog and see things a bit more clearly. But now age has caught up with me. And not to say you can't have kids at 37, but I'm getting older and older. And it was so crazy because when I watched this freaking video, back to the video that depressed the fuck out of me, literally this dude broke the shit down. He was like, I was talking to this one woman and she's like a doctor. He was like, obviously not a fertility doctor, but she's like, I don't know, she was like in her mid 30s and she's like, oh, I got time. And he started breaking it down, like, if you want to have 2 kids, like, let's say ideally the threshold would be to have these kids by 40. Well, that means you need to get pregnant with your second child at 39. And that means you needed to get pregnant with your child before that at 37. And that means that you needed to had gotten married at 36. And that means you needed to had met a man at 30, 4 or 33. And that means you needed to, so he was like, basically you needed like 7 years, and like you're already this age, and you, so what time do you think you have? And I was like, oh my God. No, the fuck, he did not break down your life into the millisecond. Oh, I literally had to like stop the video. I'm like trying to get out of YouTube, and then the video pops back on, and I'm like, no, stop. I don't want to hear this shit. Like, first of all, I'm not in denial. I already knew this, but the way he broke it down from like month to month and what you need to be doing each month and year to year, and I was just like, okay. And of course he was like, everybody's, timeline in life events can be different, but it's just, it just kind of like put it in my head, like front and center, like, what the fuck is going on with your life, bro? What is going on with your life? Like, some days I'm like happy. There's like, guys, I gotta do another video. This journey has been crazy. I've learned a lot. Sorry, I have ADD, so sometimes thoughts enter my head and distract me. One thing that I thought of, it's so funny, as I unpack the truth and things are revealed to me about myself, my life, my purpose, it can be heavy. And people say what don't kill you will make you stronger. And then, but I've heard things like people saying, I want to know the truth, even if it destroys me. I believe I've heard that before. I believe I've heard that, like, even if it destroys me. And I'm like, damn, like, I never had really thought about that particular saying or comment. But I'm like, I can see how the truth can destroy you. Because it is crazy. It is crazy the things that you unpack and learn and the pain that comes along with that. And literally, like, these days, every other day I'm unpacking something different. Before I could even like finish the first thing that I unpacked, something else comes along, and I'm like, oh, what the? So let's take a little break.